Hey, in this video I'm going to show you how to deal with inner elbow pain associated with throwing a baseball. Hey everyone, I'm Sebastian at Performance Play Sports Care, part of the locally world famous chiropractors in Costa Mesa, California. As we go through this today, I'm going to show you the locations that I'm talking about, but also some ways that we solve this problem when we see people in person. Keep in mind that these are not specific to what you have going on, but we have no idea what's going on with you until we actually assess. So if you guys would like help, please come in and see us. The link in the description below will help you find a consultation to see if we can take your case. Now, the area I'm talking about, which is pretty common, is the inner elbow portion for throwers. The younger the thrower, probably the less this is actually going to work with them, because there's something like growth plate fractures or little leaguer's elbow, which may be associated to it. But as people start to get a little older, into like college and so on, they're skeletally mature, there's a bigger possibility that something like inner elbow pain can come from something like we'll call it a sticky elbow. So a lot of people that I've seen at least come in, they end up getting elbow adjustments or elbow stretches where they feel like it actually helps them doing stuff like this, where they're stretching the muscles up into here. They'll do stuff like this, which tends to help, but it really doesn't last long term. So one quick assessment that we usually do is we figure out what we call a direction of preference. So a lot of times the elbow itself can be, the joint itself can be a little sticky, as we call it in layman's terms, but you can figure out which direction it actually likes to pump it loose by doing a very quick basic assessment. So people who tend to have more pain doing this or doing this in the location that they're talking about sometimes will benefit from something like, we call them salt bays, and I'll show you exactly what I mean in a couple minutes. So this and this is a baseline assessment to figure out if this is feeling okay. Now, extending the elbow for a lot of people, at least like this passively, a lot of times feels okay, and a lot of times this feels okay, but doing push-ups does not feel okay. All right, in that case, that's loaded extension. All right, that doesn't mean it won't benefit from passive extension. So as we go through this today, a lot of times people will feel stiffness in the first 10 reps or so. And so I encourage them to go slow. They support their elbow here, and they just let gravity take it. So this is the version of passive extension. And so you're just letting the wrist fall, okay? This looks kind of like how when people get their elbow adjusted, this is not an elbow adjustment per se, but it's going in the similar mechanics, and it helps to pump the joint versus just doing it all at one time, okay? So this feels okay for me. It feels a little stretchy on the bicep, but I'm okay with that because that's a bicep stretch, if you will. After that, you can go a little bit more forceful, like I'm flicking like a whip down to the floor. For a lot of people, this feels a little tender for the first few reps as they're smashing the joint, if you will. But usually that settles itself down as they're a little bit more forceful, but a little less erratic when they do it. Okay. By the way, I'll tell you a story. I had a great client that came in with elbow pain. They actually had benefit from actually having their elbow adjusted, but they weren't able to keep it away. And so since this is very similar to an elbow adjustment, we just had them actually just do it a lot more throughout the day, and their elbow pain went away within about a 2-week period of time. To my knowledge, at this point, it has not returned, but we also did give them more supportive exercises for the elbow, and also he needed some shoulder and scapular strength to keep it at bay because that was his root cause. The third thing we can do is a ballistic one, which is called, we call it a salt bay. And if you've ever been on Instagram and you watch the guy who makes a bunch of meat, you can look up salt bay, and he just flicks the salt on like this. All right, and so he's a little bit more dramatic up here, but if I was aggressively flicking the salt at the floor or at the meat, it would look kind of like this, okay? In a normal elbow, this doesn't hurt. In a fractured elbow, this would hurt. In an elbow with tendinopathy, this may hurt. My point is, you should get assessed, all right? This is something that works really well for us, and I just wanted to share it with you. But if you really want an assessment to figure out what's going on with your elbow and make it so you can actually throw again, then you need to take the responsibility and actually have it looked at. What we end up doing is we assess to rule in certain conditions and rule out certain ones too. Based upon that and the mechanics that you have with your testing, we can figure out which exercises are actually safe for you to do to make it so you're not making yourself feel any worse. And also we can progress load into the elbow, support the elbow. We can make it so the shoulder spares the elbow more and make it so the entire arm and the core and the lower body assist in the throwing movement. As we all know, throwing is only a fraction, a small fraction from the upper extremity or from the limb. I think the estimation was ball velocity was about 18% in the arm last I checked. There was quite a bit in the torso, but there was a lot in the legs. And so if you're a pitcher or a thrower who's having elbow pain and has not had their lower body assessed, you kind of need to. And so if you guys are looking for that, reach out to us. We have people fly in and do this type of assessment with us quite a bit. Link is in the description below. We'd love to help you guys out. At the very least, like the video, subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next time.